Welcome back to Hello Africa Broadcast Channel.
Ethiopia's ambition to harness the Blue Nile's potential dates back to the era of Emperor Haile Selassie, when early feasibility studies by the United States Bureau of Reclamation identified the site for what would eventually become the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD. The emperor, whose likeness and vision were even featured on the nation's currency at the time, acknowledged that Ethiopia might not be ready to build the dam under his leadership, but emphasized that the idea and intent would serve as a legacy for future generations to fulfill. However, Ethiopia's tumultuous history, marked by external invasions, civil wars, and internal strife, repeatedly delayed any progress on the project. The project gained momentum under the late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, who, despite facing criticism for his divisive rule and numerous complaints about his government's tactics, made the bold decision to initiate construction of the dam in 2011.
That some people in Egypt have old-fashioned ideas. Old-fashioned ideas based on the assumption that the Nile water belongs to Egypt, and that Egypt has the right to decide as to who gets what of the Nile water, and that the upper riparian countries are unable to use the Nile water because they will be unstable and because they will be poor. These circumstances have changed and changed forever. Ethiopia is not unstable. Ethiopia is still poor, but it is able to cough up the necessary resources to build whatever infrastructure and dams it wants on the Nile waters.
Out of the countries that have signed this agreement so far, you seem to be the architect. 85% of the Nile waters come from Ethiopia. Are you prepared to negotiate further?
Well, I would dispute the characterization.
You would deny that you're pushing it more than most?
No, well, we are not pushing it more than anybody else. Everybody is interested in it, and all of us are agreed that this should go forward. And as far as negotiating further is concerned, we see no reason why Egypt, and I think it's mainly Egypt, Sudan is not a main problem in this regard. I see no reason why Egypt should not come back to the fold.
But let's look at this issue of financing. You say is all Ethiopian.
After Meles' death, some of his former comrades, notably within entities like METEC, the Metals and Engineering Corporation, became entangled in corruption scandals, hindering further progress on the dam.
መላው የዓለም ሕዝብ እንዲገነዘብ የሚያስፈልገው ይሄው እንደምታዩት ኃይል ያመነጨ ቀደም ሲል የሚያደርገውን ተግባር በመፈጸም ወደ ሱዳንና ወደ ግብጽ የሚሄድ እንጂ ባሉባልታ ሲነገር እንደነበረው የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ እና መንግስት ውሃውን ገድበው የወንድም ግብጽንና የሱዳን ሕዝብን የማስራብ ፍላጎት የማስጠማት ፍላጎት እንደሌላቸው ስንናገር የነበረውን ዛሬ
When Meles explaining what the Egyptians could do about Renaissance Dam, Ethiopia's bold dam initiative, overcoming Egypt's three-pronged opposition. Ethiopia has taken a historic step toward its future by launching the ambitious Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, a project that seeks to harness the mighty Blue Nile for national development. With over 80% of the Blue Nile's waters originating within its borders, Ethiopia has long felt constrained by colonial-era agreements that prioritized Egypt and Sudan's control of the river. Determined to break free from these outdated restrictions, Ethiopia, under the leadership of the late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi, embarked on a mission to build the GERD, not only as a source of electricity, but also as a symbol of national pride and self-reliance. From the outset, Egypt was wary of Ethiopia's plans and, according to Zenawi, employed three main strategies to halt the dam's construction. First, Egypt worked to block Ethiopia from securing international funding and technical assistance for the project. Recognizing this tactic, Ethiopia turned inward, rallying its citizens to finance the dam through government bonds and public donations. This remarkable grassroots effort demonstrated Ethiopia's determination to achieve self-sufficiency and signaled a new era of independence from external influence. Second, Egypt allegedly sought to destabilize Ethiopia by encouraging regional conflicts and proxy wars. Historical tensions with Somalia, fueled during the era of Egyptian leader Gamal Abdel Nasser, and ongoing rivalries with neighboring Eritrea were seen as part of a broader strategy to keep Ethiopia embroiled in chaos. By supporting groups like al-Shabaab and leveraging Eritrea's proximity, Egypt aimed to divert Ethiopia's attention and resources away from large-scale development projects like the GERD. Third, Egypt ramped up its military presence and engaged in psychological warfare to intimidate its neighbors. With a reserve force reportedly numbering in the millions and a standing army of hundreds of thousands, Egypt projected strength and sought to instill fear in Ethiopia and other Nile Basin countries. However, Zenawi and Ethiopia's leadership remained undeterred, adopting a no-fear policy that emphasized resilience and self-belief rather than confrontation. Throughout this process, Ethiopia has consistently emphasized its desire for collaboration, not conflict. The GERD is not intended to harm Egypt or restrict its access to the Nile's waters, but rather to ensure that Ethiopia can secure its own future while sharing the river's benefits with downstream neighbors. The greatest challenge, according to Zenawi, is not the threat of direct military action but the behind-the-scenes efforts by Egypt to destabilize Ethiopia through proxies and regional alliances. By reorganizing its resources and focusing on internal unity, Ethiopia has shown the world that it can achieve its development goals on its own terms. The story of the GERD is one of determination, innovation, and the pursuit of a shared, prosperous future along the Nile, a future where all nations can thrive together.
Dear viewers, if you like this video, please subscribe to our Hello Africa YouTube channel to get more known and unknown facts about Africa. Thank you.